Okay, so for this deep dive, you've brought us something really profound. Grief.
Mm,
It's one of those unavoidable human things, isn't it?
absolutely. Deeply
Yeah.
human, but often, well, incredibly uncomfortable for people to talk about.
Yeah, messy, painful. And it really does change people.
It transforms us. And yet, the culture we're in often pushes back against that, right?
Totally. That move on, find the silver lining kind of pressure.
Exactly. Which can make grieving feel incredibly lonely.
So the sources you shared today,
Hmm.
they tackle this head on.
They really do. It's excerpts from Dr. Joanne Cacciatore's book, Bearing the Unbearable.
Okay.
And it comes from, years of her working directly with bereaved people, plus deep research. It forces an honest look.
So that's our mission then, to
Yep.
dive into these sources and figure out what bearing the unbearable actually means.
Precisely. Moving past the easy platitudes, the discomfort.
Towards something more,
Yeah.
I guess, honest, more compassionate.
Yes, and maybe just more human about how we deal with love and loss.
It feels like a challenging deep dive, but really important.
Incredibly important because grief touches everyone. So we're really glad you're here with us to explore this.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we start? The source dives right into the raw experience.
It does, right into the author's own story, actually. Burying her baby daughter, Cheyenne.
Wow.
She describes this physical burning sensation, a feeling that she was literally dying to that day.
That's incredibly visceral.
And the outrage she felt that the world just kept going, birds singing, cars driving.
While her world had just completely shattered.
Yes. This immense global pain stretching, as she says, from her hair to her toes.
She uses that phrase, physical dying, repeated every day.
That hits hard, doesn't it? It captures how it's not just mental, it's deeply physical.
Yeah. And the source also includes something called Teresa's recipe for raw grief.
Right, which is another way to grasp the sheer complexity of it.
What are the ingredients?
Things like disbelief, reluctance, just excruciating pain, brutal sadness, confusion, obsessing, anger, guilt, even embarrassment, loneliness.
That's a lot.
And it's all, according to the recipe, seasoned with untimely or needless loss. And here's the kicker. It's cooked and served over a lifetime.
Over a lifetime. So no quick fix.
Not at all. And what both the personal story and the recipe really drive home is that losing someone you love deeply changes you, fundamentally.
Inescapably and for all time, the source says.
Exactly. And it connects this idea to thinkers like Rollo May.
Oh yeah, how so?
Suggesting that, becoming fully human isn't supposed to be painless.
Right.
That going through these agonizing experiences, like grief, can actually lead to a kind of alchemical transformation.
Transformation through pain.
If, and it's a big if, we allow ourselves to actually feel it, to inhabit it.
But that's where the clash comes in, right? Between that intense personal reality and, well, the culture around us.
Precisely. The source talks about these societal pressures, this cult of pleasure.
That push to just get over it or choose happiness.
Yeah. And when grievers don't or can't do that on society's timeline.
They feel isolated.
Completely.
Yeah.
And other people's discomfort often just makes it worse. They avoid the person or offer those well-meaning, but...
Kind of dismissive platitudes.
Exactly. Things that shut down the real conversation.
Why is our culture so, I guess, avoidant? Does the source get into that?
It does. It brings up terror management theory.
Okay, tell me about that.
The basic idea from Becker and Solomon is that knowing we're going to die is, well, terrifying.
Sure.
So we develop ways, both personally and culturally, to push down that death anxiety.
And grief is a stark reminder of mortality.
A very stark reminder. So the culture helps us deny it by sort of systemically avoiding grief and grievers, keeping them separate.
That example from the book is just brutal. The teacher sending the grieving 9-year-old out of the room during the Mother's Day card activity.
Ugh, yes, because the teacher was uncomfortable. It's a perfect, awful illustration of that systemic avoidance.
So what happens when we try to bypass grief like that? Does it just go away?
The source is really clear. Absolutely not. It just comes out sideways.
Sideways.
Yeah. There's a quote from Irvin Yalom in there. The pain is there. When we close one door on it, it knocks to come in somewhere else.
Wow. So you can't really escape
But
it.
from Rumi's line, too, some torn places cannot be patched. It acknowledges the permanence.
There's a story in the sources that really seems to capture this consequence of bypassing. Jenny's boss.
Oh, yes. That's a powerful one. His young son died of leukemia.
Right.
And according to Jenny's account, he and his wife never really processed that grief, that trauma. Over time, they just became hard, detached, cold-hearted even.
How so?
To the point where they eventually forbade their employees from doing a simple clothing drive for the homeless.
Seriously.
Yeah. It's like their unaddressed grief built walls around their hearts, cutting them off from compassion, from connection.
So the source concludes,
Oh.
what was it? To bypass grief, we must also bypass love.
Exactly. That's the stark takeaway. If you shut down the pain, you often shut down the capacity for love and empathy, too.
And it also talks about how even things meant to comfort can backfire.
Mm-hmm. Like telling someone, don't blame yourself, or she wouldn't want you to be sad.
Which seem like kind things to say.
They seem kind, but for the griever, they can feel completely dishonest, invalidating.
Yeah, I can see that. If you do feel blame, or you are incredibly sad.
Right. It makes you feel like your reality isn't acceptable. There's the story of Alexandra.
Tell me.
She felt responsible for her child's death. A heavy, heavy burden of guilt and shame.
Oh my goodness.
And she desperately needed a safe place to just talk about that, to process it.
But she couldn't find one.
Apparently not. The messages she got were likely aimed at making her feel better, but they didn't allow space for her actual feelings.
So what did she do?
She just stopped talking about it. Became, as the source says, a master at dissimulation, hiding her true pain because the world couldn't seem to handle it.
That's heartbreaking. Feeling like you have to hide the worst pain of your life.
It adds another layer of suffering, doesn't it? Shame on top of grief.
So if bypassing is the problem, and cultural discomfort makes it worse, what's the alternative the sources offer?
It really centers on this idea of being with grief.
Being with it. Not fixing it, not rushing it.
Exactly. Meeting the pain with unflinching respect and non-judging compassion.
Creating an emotional home for it, the source says.
Yeah, I love that phrase. An emotional home, not trying to kick the grief out, but making space for it.
And the author's approach when working with people, it's just about being present. No agenda.
No agenda other than to simply be with them, to witness their pain without trying to change it.
And what happens when you do that? Can grief actually shift?
The source suggests it can. It might move from feeling like this terrifying intruder to something less threatening, maybe even eventually a companion of sorts.
A companion, that sounds strange, but maybe?
It's not about liking the grief, but accepting its presence, accepting how we feel about the loss, its specific shape, its texture, where it hurts inside us.
There's a story about a father, Jim, that illustrates this. His son died by suicide.
Yes, Jim's story is really detailed and powerful. Initially, he was just wrecked.
Understandably.
Paralyzed by grief, couldn't sleep, filled with rage, totally withdrawn from everyone.
So how did he move towards being with it?
It was intentional. The source describes him setting aside time every day for, contemplative meditation.
Okay.
He kept an emotion journal specifically to track and just be with whatever feelings came up.
Even the really difficult ones, like rage.
Especially those. He even developed a specific mindful process for allowing himself to feel the rage fully without acting it out destructively.
That takes incredible courage.
It really does. And he also had to confront the guilt and shame he'd buried around his son's death.
How do you do that?
The source mentions him writing a letter to his son, just pouring it all out, crying until he felt empty.
And did something shift?
He describes this moment of feeling like he could almost hear his son's voice saying, "Dad, I love you."
Wow.
It didn't erase the pain, obviously, but processing it, being with it, allowed something to transform.
How did that show up in his life?
His relationship with his living son improved. He started reconnecting with friends, and eventually... he felt this pull to support other bereaved fathers. He found he could do something with it, as the source says.
Do something with the grief, not instead of feeling it.
Precisely. Only after surrendering to the pain, to being with it.
That connects to another idea in the sources, doesn't it? Grief as a cycle of contraction and expansion.
Yes. Roland's story illustrates this well. He lost his wife and infant son.
Devastating.
Absolutely devastating. And initially, he was in deep contraction, muddled, withdrawn, just surviving.
But it didn't stay that way.
Gradually, slowly, there were moments of expansion, small things at first.
Like what?
Like putting up photos again, reaching out to friends, feeling moments of lightness, even amidst the sorrow.
So it's not all one thing or the other.
No. And the source points out this fear people have of getting stuck in contraction forever.
Which is understandable.
Totally. But it also points out the futility of only seeking expansion, of trying to force the good feelings.
So the key is...
It seems to be the knowing, knowing that expansion is possible after contraction, that the light can return even if the darkness feels overwhelming right now, that knowing provides a kind of safety to endure the hard times.
And it takes courage to actively engage with the loss, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
source talks about turning toward the empty place.
Yes, intentionally remembering, not avoiding the memories because they hurt.
Joanne's experience sounds like a beautiful example of that, using touch.
Right. She used tactile memories, remembering the feel of her daughter's hand in hers, the specific texture of her flannel pajamas.
And what did that do?
It brought back this powerful, visceral feeling of her daughter being alive, being present.
So even though it might bring tears, it also brings connection.
Exactly. It reconnects you to the love, not just the loss.
The source uses the word Selah from the Psalms.
Yeah, meaning to pause, reflect, and feel meaning.
That feels like such a good description for this process of being with grief.
It really does. Pausing, feeling its presence, it's sometimes poetic, sometimes really disruptive nature.
Okay, so if being with is the internal posture, how do we navigate the external world while grieving? The sources talk about practices.
Yes, practical things, starting with self-care.
Which sounds simple, but maybe isn't.
Well, it's presented as essential, tending to your body, mind, heart, but crucially, it shouldn't be used as a distraction or another way to bypass the grief.
Ah, okay, there's a story about that, Ben.
Yes, Ben. His sister was murdered, and he threw himself into the gym, excessively.
As a coping mechanism.
Initially, yes, but the source suggests it eventually became pure avoidance, a way to numb out, not feel.
So balanced self-care.
Yeah.
It comes from a different place.
From love, the source says, not from fear. Tending to yourself because you deserve care, not just because you're terrified of the pain.
Do the sources give concrete examples? Because self-care can feel a bit vague.
Oh, lots. Really practical stuff. King's story, for instance. She developed this detailed sleep hygiene plan.
Like what?
Aiming for 78 hours, limiting caffeine and screens before bed, getting sunlight, doing yoga, taking baths, making sure the room was dark, using a sound machine.
That's quite specific.
Yeah.
Did it help?
She found it made a huge difference in her ability to cope day to day, to think more clearly, even access memories better.
And she still felt her grief. It wasn't about suppressing it.
No, the source mentions her crying while hiking in nature. It was about having the reserves to be with the feelings when they came.
Okay, what else?
The author shares her own list of encouragements she gives herself. It's really long and varied. Things like have a good cry, drink water, connect with someone, accept whatever emotion is present, get some sun, embrace solitude sometimes, serve others, sleep, eat clean food, play dirty like gardening.
Get dirty. I like that.
Yeah. Remember her precious dead, practice gratitude, be in nature, try new things, pray or meditate, listen to music, break routines, seek comfort, rescue an animal, do random acts of kindness.
Wow, that covers a lot of ground.
It shows self-care can look many different ways.
And it could be small things too, right?
Yeah.
The corporate executive.
Exactly. She made lists tailored to how much time she had.
Like minutes or longer.
Yeah. For just a few minutes. Watch clouds, doodle, listen to one song. For 5-10 minutes, step outside, stretch, text a friend. For 30 minutes, meditate, take a walk, journal.
That makes it feel much more achievable.
Right. It doesn't have to be a spa day. It can be finding moments throughout the day.
There was also a grieving father with a once-a-day vow.
That one really stayed with me. His vow changed monthly.
And the example was for June.
Once a day, I vow to cry and smile.
Cry and smile. Holding both.
Exactly. The intentionality of allowing both the pain and the possibility of a different feeling, even just for a moment.
So beyond self-care, the sources talk about ritual.
Yes, ritual and micro-rituals as ways to remember, to connect, to make the grief tangible somehow.
How does that look? Nomak's story.
Yes, now Ach, a Pima woman whose son was murdered. She found healing in what she called radically traditional ways.
Like carving gourds.
Carving gourds, making spirit sticks, writing poetry, connecting to ancestral practices.
But she also grieved the lack of traditional burial rites.
Yes, rites that weren't available or practiced anymore. So finding ways to create meaningful ritual within her current reality.
And the author has her own micro-rituals.
Writing a New Year's intention for Cheyenne every single year.
That's beautiful.
Or taking a vow of silence day on the anniversary of her death. Small, personal, ongoing acts of remembrance.
Zoe's tattoos sound like a very visible ritual.
Incredibly visible. Incorporating her children's ashes, tattooing her daughter's last words, carrying the loss physically.
Anne-Marie's chances box.
Yeah, a box filled with laminated memories and stories about her infant son, Chance, shared by family and friends. A tangible way to hold on to him.
These all feel like ways of actively doing something with the grief, integrating it.
Which leads to another key idea. Finding meaning through compassionate action. Doing with grief.
This is where the Kindness Project comes in.
Yes. It started so spontaneously. After Cheyenne died, the author had bought toys for her.
Right.
And just started giving them away anonymously to other children.
And that grew.
Massively. Into this global thing. Millions of acts of kindness, delivering flowers, buying coffee for strangers, tending someone's yard, all done anonymously in memory of a loved one.
That's incredible. But the source emphasizes something important here.
Crucially, it has to come from being with the grief. It can't be another bypass.
Not a way to avoid the pain by just staying busy helping others.
Exactly. It has to arise organically from that place of acknowledged pain and love.
The sources also talk about how grievers can guide others. That seems really important given the cultural discomfort we discussed.
Yes. Melody's story is a great example. She actually made a list for her family.
A list of what?
Specific ways they could support her. Things like, come with me to a support group meeting, comment on photos I post of my daughter, ask me on nature walks, respect when I need solitude.
Wow, that's direct.
And even suggesting changing traditions, like moving the date they celebrated Christmas.
Taking charge of what she needed.
Exactly. And Marta writing that letter to friends, just asking them point blank not to avoid her.
It shows real agency, doesn't it? Teaching people how to show up when they might not know how.
Absolutely. It empowers the griever and educates the support network.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly. The sources introduce this concept of grief broth. What's that about?
It's about how losses don't just line up neatly next to each other. They blend. Compound, exactly. Multiple losses mix together, and the overall pain becomes greater than the sum of its parts, like a broth with many ingredients.
The story about Mags the dog illustrates this.
Perfectly. When her beloved dog Mags died, it wasn't just sadness about the dog.
It brought up other griefs.
Yes, it immediately triggered this cascade of grief for Cheyenne, for her parents, for other friends like Elizabeth and Terry who had died, all swirled together.
And then that encounter with the man named Cheyenne.
Right after Mags died. It just highlights that uncanny way grief connects things, how past losses stay present.
And this idea connects to something bigger, too. Transgenerational grief.
Historical grief, trauma passed down. The source touches on this through stories shared on a train journey.
Like the SWAT officer.
Yeah, decades of unprocessed trauma from his job just erupting after he retired.
And the man who remarried quickly.
To avoid the sadness of his first wife's death, but ended up losing the connection with his living child because he couldn't face the shared grief.
And that nurse.
Yeah.
Carrying her daughter's story in silence for almost 50 years.
50 years. Until someone finally created a safe space for her to speak it. 1974, her daughter died.
It's a long time to carry something alone.
It really is. And the brief mention of the grandmother, losing multiple babies, all named Josephine.
Until the third Josephine survived. Imagine the weight of that history in a family.
Exactly. And the source connects it to larger scale things, too, like the trauma of the Native American genocide.
There was no time for grief.
Right. Constant crisis, constant loss. The message is clear. That unrealized grief, whether personal or historical, it has a cost, a price.
It really makes you think about what might be carried unconsciously, generationally.
Definitely. It adds another layer to understanding suffering.
So even with all this darkness, this exploration of deep pain, the sources also point towards, well, gifts.
Yes. Darkness has its gifts, is a phrase used, and the idea that beauty and pain coexist.
Kelly's story seems central here. Her daughter Madeline died.
Yes. And initially, Kelly was really withdrawn, numb, partly trauma, partly actively avoiding the grief.
Which is understandable.
Completely. But the source highlights her immense bravery in eventually choosing to turn toward the pain.
Not around it, but into it.
Into that deep, intense pain, as she described it, and sitting with it for a long, long time.
What happened?
Slowly, gradually, she began to rediscover joy, beauty, and she felt it perhaps even more intensely than before the loss.
More intensely how?
Like The grief hadn't destroyed beauty, but somehow deepened her capacity to experience it. She found her grief held a mysterious conciliatory power.
That's a fascinating phrase, conciliatory power.
Isn't it? And now she helps others through the Miss Foundation she co-founded. Her pain was transformed into service, but only after facing it directly.
So this really loops back to the beginning, doesn't it? True healing isn't about getting rid of the grief.
It's about integrating it, making it part of who you become.
The courage to remember, to feel,
Yeah.
it makes us more human.
More fully, complexly human.
Yes, and the source brings in Kierkegaard at the end, about love and remembering.
Right. His idea in Works of Love that remembering the dead is maybe the purest form of love.
Why purest?
Because it's completely unselfish. There's no reward, no reciprocity possible in the earthly sense. It's just devotion.
A choice to keep loving someone you can't see.
Exactly. And Kierkegaard suggests that practice teaches us how to love more deeply, more faithfully, even those who are still present.
So, wrapping this all up, looking back at this deep dive into the sources you shared, what's the core message for us, for you listening?
I think it fundamentally reframes grief. It's not a problem to be solved or an illness to be cured on a schedule.
It's more like a path.
A journey.
A profound, often lifelong path, yes. And while society, with its discomfort and avoidance, can make that path harder,
there are ways to navigate it.
with unflinching compassion for ourselves, with self-awareness, and with real authentic connection.
Connecting with our own pain, really being present with it.
And connecting with others who are suffering, offering that same non-judging presence.
We saw the value of authentic support and how people grieving can actually ask for what they need.
Yeah, the power of remembering through ritual, through intentional thought.
And even how compassionate action can emerge organically from being with the pain.
So maybe a final thought for you to take away and just sit with after everything we've explored today.
Okay.
If grief, when we really meet it, when we allow it to be integrated, actually expands our heart's capacity for love, for connection, for empathy,
Yeah.
not just for those we've lost, but maybe even more so for those still here. What would it truly mean for us as individuals and maybe for our whole world to genuinely make space for every single broken heart?
That's a powerful question. It really shifts the perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Away from fixing grief, towards accompanying it, recognizing that maybe our capacity to love is intimately tied to our willingness to bear the unbearable.